This is the story of Anansi the spider and the watermelon. Anansi was a spider that lived in a peach tree that overlooked a garden. The garden was kept by a possum who worked very hard, sweating and toiling every day to make all of the things grow. And his favorite thing to grow was a big, beautiful watermelon. Anansi, the spider's favorite food, just happened to be watermelon. One day, when the possum wasn't looking, Anansi snuck down with his long 8 legs, and he climbed over to the watermelon. He looked around, and he found a sharp stone, and he made a small hole in the watermelon just big enough to climb inside. Once he was inside, he ate as much of the red, juicy, delicious watermelon that he could. But when he was done, he had eaten too much to get out. He was too big. So he heard that the possum was coming, and he decided to hide inside the watermelon. The possum heard the sound, and he said, "Who is over there? Who is in my garden?" And Anansi thought quickly, and he said, "You've never heard a watermelon talk before?" The possum was very surprised. He thought he must be imagining it, and so he asked again, "Who is there?" Anansi, inside the watermelon, said, "I've been talking this whole time and you're not listening. Don't you ever listen?" The possum thought this was very special. He's never heard a watermelon talk before, and he should take it to the king. So he picked up his watermelon and he took it to the king. He walked through the village, and on his way, he saw the raccoon. And the raccoon asked, "What do you carry there, possum? What do you have?" And the possum said, "This is a talking watermelon." The raccoon thought it must be a joke. And he said, "A talking watermelon? I've never heard of that." Inside the watermelon, Anansi said, "Well, then you don't listen. Watermelons are always talking. Why don't you ever listen?" The raccoon was very surprised, and he also thought that the king would be interested in seeing this watermelon. So they took the watermelon, and he put it under his arm, and they walked towards the king through the village. And on their way, they saw 3 more animals. They saw a rat, a groundhog, and a gopher. And all 3 of those animals were surprised to hear that there was such a thing as a talking watermelon. And when they heard it talk too, they also thought the king must be interested in seeing this watermelon. So the possum put it under his arm, and they all walked to go see the king bear. Once they found the king bear's lair, they found that he was sleeping inside. He was very angry to wake up, and he came out and said, "What is going on here? What are all these animals doing here? Who woke me up?" Very meekly, the possum came out, and he showed him the watermelon. And he said, "Here's the watermelon." And the king was very surprised to see this watermelon. He said, "I have plenty of watermelon. I have all the watermelon I need. Why would you all bring me this watermelon?" And the possum said, "But this watermelon can talk." And the bear was very surprised. He looked at the watermelon, and they all stood staring at it, and there was silence. Nobody said anything. And the bear said, "Why are you embarrassing me? This watermelon is not talking. Why would I waste my time waiting for a watermelon?" And from inside the watermelon, Anansi said, "You would be foolish not to wait to listen to a talking watermelon." The bear was very surprised, but he was also insulted. He did not like this watermelon talking to him like that. And so he took the watermelon and he threw it as far as he could. Inside the watermelon, Anansi flew in the air, and when the watermelon hit the ground, it broke into 2 pieces, and he escaped. And he ran back to his peach tree where he lived. Eventually, the possum came sulking back to his garden. He came back and he looked at his plants and he said, "Well, I think I'm tired of watermelons. Next year, I'll grow something else." And Anansi, from inside his peach, he said, "Good idea. Next time, maybe you can grow some more peaches." And this is the story of Anansi the spider.